What's up everybody, Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax. So I've been running the Predicting Superstars series for about 4 months now, and it's one of my personal favorites from a creator standpoint. In this series, I gathered the career minor league stats of today's superstars and created a formula to see how today's top prospects line up against them. Now, over the course of the series, I've noticed some minor issues with the formula that penalized or rewarded players a bit too much. So I made some tweaks and I think I'm right in the pocket of where I want to be data-wise. With that being said, I'm going to start from scratch and reset the entire series. I'm also going to explain all the changes and how this all works, so stay tuned. Before I explain how this whole process works, I wanted to briefly discuss the minor tweaks I made for the people who already follow this series closely. First, I changed the way I score age level. Previously, each prospect's age was measured on the day I gathered my data, penalizing the players that were evaluated later in the year. This method also inflated scores for players who only spent a few weeks at a specific level, as opposed to players who spent the majority of a season at a certain level. The age level score will now be calculated by the earliest age that a prospect played the most games in the most recent season. An example would be as follows. If a player played 90 games in High A and only 10 games in Double A, his age level score would be determined by the earliest age he played in High A, since the majority of games were played at that level. The next change was scaling down K numbers. Using both K percentage and K to walk ratio in the scoring system put too much weight on K numbers as a whole. I also implemented a defensive bonus as well. Shortstops get 30 points, catchers and center fielders get 25 points, third basemen get 20, second base and right fielders get 15, left fielders get 5, and first base and DHs get 0. Defensive bonuses are awarded for the most games played at a specific position. So if a middle infield prospect played 85 games at shortstop and 20 at second base, they would receive a 30-point bonus since the majority of games were played at shortstop. Finally, I removed OPS because there were too many bat-to-ball statistics in the formula that rendered other categories like K numbers, stolen bases per plate appearance, and age level nearly obsolete. Now that we're all on the same page with the changes, I'll quickly discuss how this whole process works. As you can see in the slide, I compiled the career minor league data from 13 of today's MLB superstars and created an average number for each stat that you can see in the red bar at the bottom of the slide. So the prospects I run in this series are measured against those numbers. In this slide, you can see the exact formula and scales I used to come up with each prospect's score. In the gray bar, you can see the specific stats I used and how I scaled them. In the white bar, you can see the career minor league stats of today's top prospects, and in the black bar, you see the superstars' average stats. The differentials are calculated in the bottom bar to create a final score plus each prospect's defensive bonus. I used Wander Franco, Mike Trout, and Julio Rodriguez as examples to help you gauge the scores of today's top prospects. Wander Franco finished with a score of 110, Mike Trout received a score of 105, and Julio Rodriguez wrapped this group up with a score of 20. A score of 0 would indicate a prospect's career stats are directly aligned with the career minor league stats of today's superstars. Negative numbers occur a lot in this series. Now I think we're ready to kick this episode off. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments, and if you have any players you want me to run through the formula, post them in the comments as well, and I'll add them to the master list. In episode 1 with the new formula, we're running Jordan Lawler, Kyle Manzardo, Endy Rodriguez, and Jordan Walker. Players who all received elite ranks on my breakdowns over on Patreon. We're going to kick this episode off with Arizona Diamondbacks shortstop prospect Jordan Lawler. He was drafted in the first round in 2021, 6th overall, and only played in 2 games in 2021 before getting sidelined by a season-ending injury. Lawler came back in great fashion in 2022, playing all the way to Double A in his first professional season. At the age of 19, he dominated Low A and High A, where he hit for average, showed off his in-game power, held great K numbers, and was menacing to opposing pitchers on the bases. Lawler was only 19 when he was promoted to Double A to finish the season, and over 97 plate appearances, he hit .259 with a 141 ISO, but finishing the season with career high K numbers. Although a strong showing in the 2022 Arizona Fall League cleared up all doubts I had about him not being able to handle the upper minors at such a young age. Lawler took the biggest hit on age level through the formula, since he played the majority of his games in 2022 in Low A. His career K percentage of 24.9 also lowered his score a bit, but it's rare that prospects ever gain points in the K number categories. After receiving his 30-point defensive bonus, Lawler finished with a score of -11, putting him in close correlation with today's superstars' minor league numbers. The next prospect on this episode is Kyle Manzardo. Manzardo had the best bat-to-ball production in the entire minor leagues in 2022, finishing the season with a .330 batting average, a .286 ISO, and elite K numbers. As you can see, he gained over 100 points in batting average and ISO below, demonstrating just how exceptional his offensive performance was compared to today's superstars. So how did Manzardo score so low? First, he played the majority of the season in high A as a 21-year-old, crushing his age-level score. He also has a significantly low defensive ceiling at first base, leading to no defensive bonus points. Finally, Manzardo doesn't have game-changing speed and is very limited production-wise to his bat and bat alone. The departure of Ji-Man Choi leaves a huge hole in the first base DH slot, and I'd expect Manzardo and Curtis Mead to make a solid run at filling the position in the 2023 season in the MLB. If you guys are enjoying this video and want to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. I've got lots of exclusive content over there, including a detailed autograph checklist breakdowns of all Bowman releases since 2019 and including 2022 Bowman Chrome. I've got a top 100 Bowman Chrome autos list and a top 100 Bowman Chrome autos under $50 list. If you enjoy breaking, I've got you covered with team break guides for all Bowman releases since 2020. You also get early access to video information and Let's Talk Wax private Discord server. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in and you want to support the channel, I'll put a link to it in the description. Endy Rodriguez is another elite prospect who had a tremendous 2022 season. Much like Manzardo, Rodriguez played the majority of the season in high A at the age of 21.9, which took a big toll on his age-level score. He also lost 29 points in the stolen bases per plate appearance category. Endy cranked 25 home runs and 39 doubles in 2022, boosting his career ISO to 230 and earning him 35 points in that category. He was also very linear with today's superstars in batting average, K percentage, and K to walk ratio. Endy has seen action in left field and second base, but he's played the majority of his career behind the dish, which added 25 points to his overall score of -88. Endy played all the way to AAA this year and absolutely dominated AA over 31 games. But as the formula shows, he took a big hit due to the fact that he was 22 and still played the majority of the season in high A. Wrapping up this episode is St. Louis Cardinals phenom Jordan Walker. Walker began the 2022 season in Double-A at the age of 19.9, and the aggressive assignment didn't seem to have much of a negative impact on his performance. He spent the entire year in Double-A, where he hit .306 with 19 home runs and 31 doubles. Walker put up similar numbers in 2021, so there isn't much deviation between his career stats and his 2022 stats. He was nearly identical to the superstars in batting average, age level, and stolen bases per plate appearance. He gained 20 points in ISO and only took marginal losses on his K numbers. Walker went to the Arizona Fall League and continued to crush while learning a new position at center field. He still only received 20 defensive bonus points since the majority of his games were played in 2022 at third base. But the Cardinals are definitely looking for ways to get his bat to the majors as quickly as possible. I would fully expect to see Walker on the St. Louis Cardinals opening day roster this spring. Overall, Jordan Walker wins this episode with a top score of -2, putting him right beside the career minor league numbers of some of today's superstars. In this episode, Jordan Walker takes the #1 spot with a score of -2. Lawler and Manzardo came in at number 2 and 3 with scores of -11 and -18. And Endy Rodriguez comes in 4th with a score of -88, much in part to his age level. Wrapping up this episode is our top 20 all-time scores. I deleted the previous scores from the old algorithm, so we are starting fresh on this episode. It should be a lot of fun to see how the top 20 plays out down the road as I put together more episodes of predicting superstars. If there are any prospects, young stars, or MLB veteran stars you'd like me to run, just leave them in the comments of this video and I'll do my best to get them on the show. And just a reminder, if you guys want to help support the channel and get access to some really cool exclusive content, head over to my Patreon page. I'll put a link to it in the description. A quick shout out to all my level 3 sponsors over there: Max, Brad, Bruce Wiley, Chris Kwiatkowski, G Squared Collectibles, Castle Cards, Eric Alonzo, Graham Cochran, Jason Hall, Jonathan Asensio, Andrew Smith, Just Dingers Breaks, Kenny, Larry Canterbury, Lucas Bonita, Sup Den Bros, 909 Sports Cards, Max Anthony, Michael McDonough, Mike Barrier, Nico Suave, and Tom Barta. I really appreciate all the views, all the subs, and everyone who supports me on Patreon. If you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and y'all have a great day.